What is the Aurora Borealis? Let's see here if I can zoom that up a little bit for you. Not that we need it really, but I like having it there, you know, because I'm very visual. I like to put things, draw them, move my hands. You know, I'm animated, I guess, right? So, oh, geez, I just got done eating Chinese food. It bloats me up. But I don't know if I'm in the video or not. Doesn't matter, but we really got to rethink everything, man. Literally, right? These guys gave you their version of history. These are the guys that have deceived. This is Israel, right? The people controlling Israel. I'm not saying Jewish. It's not Jewish. They are who, right? To the victor goes the spoils and all that stuff, right? Whoever wins the war, that's who gives you your information, right? That's the people that start to indoctrinate you, right? How many Native American Indians are patriots of the country now, right? They went and fought in our wars and all this stuff, you know? It's just, this is going to be very interesting, I think. I've done a video on this before on my Hanes Canaris account. Hanes, like the underwear. Canaris was a ship guy. Look that account up. I had some good videos on there. I think Facebook has gotten rid of all of them, though. And I talked about this a couple of years ago. But that's my internet Batman page. Right? But so you learn what is printed in the books, right? And there's going to be people commenting left and right. You know, Ghislaine Maxwell's dad, right, owned a lot of these publishing companies that printed how many different school books, right? He was a Mossad agent his entire life, that guy, right? Y. Epstein, Mossad agent, right? So, that's going to get me clipped. I don't know if I should have said that. But Epstein was Mossad. KGB was Mossad. CIA was Mossad, right? So I'm not going to go down that whole rabbit hole tonight, right? But the truth of these things that we learn are like absurd after you start to read and figure out, like, it's their version of history, everything that we've learned, right? We live on a giant spinning ball. Universal Pictures. Look, the founder of Universal Pictures was a Zionist, right? The world wasn't round until after 1913. That was the accepted version of the concept of Earth, was the Hebrew version. Okay, Earth is ground. It's soil, it's dirt. The universe is one story. The firmament is the outer dome. If I take a light bulb, and in that light bulb, I run an electrical charge, there are electrons and gases inside of that light bulb that become excited. And they light up from that electrical field of energy inside of that light bulb. What creates the plasma? My son and I were talking about this today, and I did a really, really deep read on all of it. So, plasma in a light bulb, or plasma on Earth. What is the Aurora Borealis? What is ionization? Ionization is the drive on phonons, right? Mass-based electrons. So ionization not just them, right? It's all electrons, really, ionization. But I got sawdust all in my hair today, my face. Let's say a satellite, right? There's a satellite floating around up in outer space, right? Outer space. Outer space is outside of you. Outer space. So outer space is not out where the sun and stars and moon is all at, right? Because the moon is here and the sun is here. So plasma, when you see the Aurora Borealis, everybody remembers through COVID, the entire time was tower after tower after tower after tower after tower after tower all across the freaking planet. They've been putting up 5G networks and whatever, right? They all create their own little electromagnetic field. Might just be in radio, might be, right? But it's not. What they did was they put some form of Tesla coil, right? Like a donut, almost like a donut, and like a cell would be shaped, right? You run a steel rod into that donut and you charge it electrically, right? Like a little ray gun. You run an electrical charge. Look up the Rice University video on Tesla phoresis and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. And I will guarantee you that what you find in Tesla phoresis, you'll see the first thing they start up with is a dome of electromagnetic energy. Or not a dome, but a donut, right? It's a stainless steel donut. They drive electricity into it, and it generates an electromagnetic field, and you start to watch graphene binding together, making its own circuitry. That's electromagnetic energy. When you get into an MRI machine, right? It's basically just it's shredding your body. It's shredding everything that your cells are composed of. Your cells are held together by electromagnetic energy. Plasma. There's a plasma ball. That's electrical energy around your cells, right? So cells work the same way that electrons work. So ionization now, the universe, that story that they told us about outer space, that came from a Zionist. Forget his name. The belief that Israel should be able to move into Palestine and kill every fucking person they can get their hands on at will, you know? So ionization now, when there's an electromagnetic field pushed into or onto something, it creates ionization. Ionization is to drive cells. Let's just say I have a can of tomato soup and I ionize it. So I heat it. It will lose electrons. They heat up, they turn into steam, and they float away, right? If they're not in the can. That's where, so the heat will stay in there for a little bit. Now open up the can, where do they go? They rise. And they start to spread and scatter all up into the ionosphere. When somebody dies, the electrical energy of the body, the soul, right? The 6-foot social distancing bubble, the body's biosphere, or whatever you want to call it, that is all electrons. You die and your soul raises, goes up to heaven, right? So when they're ionizing your body and an astronaut goes up to outer space to work on a space station, right? How does that stay afloat up there? It's because it's made of a non-magnetic material. This is all magnetic. Everything above that is electrostatic. And there's a draw and a reciprocity between the two. This is what they stole ether away from us learning about. So the higher you ascend, the closer you are to this electron-based dome. The ionosphere is an immeasurable amount of electrical energy, right? Why can't we go back to the moon? Because there's video evidence of everything we do these days. It will fucking fry anybody that tries to get through it. That's how much electrical energy is up there, right? And I would call that the fourth phase of energy, really, right? Fourth phase of water, Dr. Gerald Pollack, right? This is all positive static charge all the way around. So the higher that satellite that goes up on a rocket ascends, right? The propulsion system to get it there is a rocket. Elon Musk is sending up Starlinks and whatever all over the place, right? You see a rocket, a thruster, a booster. They send it up into the ionosphere, and it gets trapped in that gigantic vortex that's always spinning around on the inside of that dome. So near that electrical energy that's up there, that's being ionized. And the electrons in the aluminum are what determines the amount of density that material has. They drive the density out of it. While it's up there, it stays afloat. It becomes lighter because it's more electrically charged. You can actually make aluminum levitate, for sure. Like it's undeniable. It's an absolute thing. Read some of the Victor Schauberger stuff. There's a little bit in some of his books, and I was trying to get that book back off my buddy today. But that's the facts. You can make aluminum levitate by putting an electrical charge into it. Take a bubblegum wrapper and put it between two live wires, see what happens, or two magnets or something, right, with electrical energy going to them. So my point is, what's the Aurora Borealis? Ionization. When the astronauts go up into space and they come back, they have all kinds of bone density issues, and they got to recover for 3 to 6 months because their bones are really, really weak after they're up in outer space, right? Because of the amount of radiation out there, while they're working on the space station, they're cooking the electrons out of the body. They're losing bone density because they're being fried, right? Lately, a lot of people are complaining about their teeth. My teeth feel like glass. They feel like they're going to crunch and break off. I heard 4 people in the last week on my post said something about their teeth. I mean, how many is that really? You know? I went through that myself. I shattered 2 of them, two of my molars. So my point with plasma is now in ionization, bone density issues, the satellite stays afloat, adrift, right? Because it has movable components, right? But it's also levitating because there's a high electrical charge up here. The higher you ascend, it's like 3, it might be a volt of electricity for every meter. I think it's for every yard. I can't remember. Every yard you climb and you ascend toward, outer space, the whatever, right? Whatever you want to call it, right? Because I'm going to tell you, your education was wrong. Your education was to keep you from ever understanding that everything you have in your life should be valued. There is a finite amount of area that there is here that we should be, ready to protect at all costs at any time, So Teslaphoresis is, wave propagation, making graphene stick together and self-organize. Ionization is driving electrons out of mass and reducing the density of that object. Like if you take gold, I forget what it is, but it's high. I think like on the periodic table, right? I think it's like maybe 55 or something. But that's 50, that's the electron count. So if that becomes ionized, it would drop down to 45 maybe, right? Or 35. I don't know what the numbers would be. I've never done tests on it myself, and I'm not a scientist. But once you drive electrons out of something, right? Obviously, you're losing electrons. So the density would change, And correct me if I'm wrong. I'm just giving you a generalization. So them doing that to aluminum would make sense on if the Earth were a flat place and outer space was water, like the ancient Hebrew map of the Bible says, or ancient Hebrew map of the world says that the waters above is what it says. Just look that image up. The waters above. So you got plasma inside of a light bulb. You've got 50 billion 5G towers all over the goddamn country and then all over the world, right? And you've got a bunch of psychopaths that own all the technology for them, right? And own all the rights and all the investment companies that are holding on to them and whatever, right? Last week, so your behavior can be changed by electromagnetic energy around you with sound and frequency, music, right? Music specifically. You listen to a specific song, you become sad. You listen to another song, you jump up and start getting all stoked. You want to dance or whatever, right? Let's drink, let's party, whatever, right? whatever that type of music does to you, it's literally the translation. You know, I'm turning that into energy. It's a vibe, right? That vibration is changing the effects on your body, hormonally, right? Whatever. So if this were controllable, if this could put out a specific wavelength, like Omicron or, you know, the Delta variant, right? Like the brain waves or alpha, beta, theta, delta, gamma, right? The brain waves. Let's fuck with the brain waves a little bit this week. Last week, I don't think I ran into a happy person anywhere in all of my travels. Everybody I met was pissed, unhappy, screaming, yelling. My son and I were going to choke each other to death at work. Like, it was that bad. The whole week, everybody was like, oh. And directly when the Charlie Kirk thing happened, right? Everybody's flipping out everywhere I'm looking, right? So what I'm saying is, every time you see a major fluctuation in, you know, the social behaviors worldwide, from, you know, one city to the next city, or one state or country to the next country, whatever, I think that these are doing something to make those things happen. And I noticed it the last time on my Haynes Canaris account. And I said, you know, I brought it up. I'm like, what are they doing? Well, why is there an Aurora Borealis? They jack these things up so much that they drive all the electrons out of everybody's bodies, out of the trees around them, out of the birds, the bees, the water, the whatever, right? By cranking that electromagnetic energy up on those gigantic Tesla coils with 50 freaking nodes on the tower, right? They jack up all this electromagnetic energy. They cook electrons out of everything, and those become free radical electrons. Free radical electrons are what become excited, and that is what the Aurora Borealis is. That plasma is the excitation of electrons. So, excitation of electrons would work in a light bulb. Excitation of electrons in the Aurora Borealis would work like a light bulb, because we're in a contained area, just like the light bulb. Now, if we're on a ball that has no barriers or boundaries, how is all that outward pressure, like the soup can, all of that outward pressure that's just been cooked, it has nowhere to go. It expands and contracts and whatever kind of shit they teach us, right? Why doesn't it just leave and go into space, you know? This is an argument about, you know, whether the earth is flat or round. I know for sure. I don't have to. I know through the things that I'm learning, and I'm not going to even bother arguing with anybody about it. Like, I know for sure, based on all the ancient technologies and all these different things I read. I'll tell you, man. But that is what the Aurora Borealis is. It's ionization. It's the leftover plasmonic energy from ionization. So when they crank up the wavelengths on all the people, and we're all ready to kill each other and whatever else, and you're not feeling well, you're feeling extremely tired, run down, you know, it's because they're jacking these things up and they're fucking with everybody's brains. And you keep ingesting all these different things. I'm going to post, just keep your eyes out for a video I do. I'm going to try to put it together. It's very difficult, but I was trying to do like a voiceover on my phone of Dr. James Giordano talking. I have a video that's in my reels. It's the very top one. People go to my page, they can't even see that it's there. It's a public post. I cannot save it. I can't copy the link and send it to anybody, but it says it has 33 views, and it's sat there for probably the last 3 or 4 years now. He was one of the first things I got into. You really want to see that video. I'm going to try to get it posted by tomorrow. I'm going to try to get it put on my YouTube. And I'm going to try to break it down what that guy is talking about. He literally says throughout this video, I was trying to do it earlier today, and they doubled the voice on it somehow. Maybe I did it. I don't know. But anyway, that's the Aurora Borealis, right? When you have this big crazy thing happen, somebody gets assassinated, everybody's politically charged, they all want to fight about everything now. And then they jacked it. So that's another one. Look up, I always want to say Scarlet. Look up the, what the hell did they call that? It was an incident over in Africa. Scarlet. Damn it, I can't think of it right now. But they jacked. It was an African country, and they were doing something to the music. Oh, it's like red. What's another word for red? Let me turn this thing around. I'm done writing. Anybody know what I'm trying to say here? Because the word will not come to my mind right now. No comments there. Nobody commented yet? Anybody commenting? Can anybody see other people's comments? It's saying there's 16 people there. No comments. I can't see any comments. Somebody just say hi. Facebook is a piece of shit. You know that? They don't want anybody communicating on these kinds of conversations or topics. Dirty bastards. Oh, I wish I had a way of looking it up, but my son took my other phone that I had. Anyway, the UN basically ignites this war over in this African country, right? And there's a favored, you know, the favored side. So this would be I don't know. They have the favored side and the people that they want to push out, right? There's people that own the country. They're happy to be there. They have their own government and they're happy with the way that things are. And then they have the democracy that they're trying to push in. Well, the democracy side goes and they play these musical things. I can't believe there's no comments coming up here. This is really pissing me off. Can anybody see a comment by anybody else here or no? I'm going to try and switch the camera. There's literally not, it says there's 6 people here now. Sons of bitches, man. But I guess that's going to be a short live because I'm not going to be able to see anybody's comments. They jack up the frequencies on the music, get these people all charged. They go and they chop everybody's heads off with machetes or something. Crimson Mist. Operation Crimson Mist. That's what it was called. Crimson. I don't know why I'm thinking Scarlet or whatever. But that's what's going on, right? And this thing with this Dr. James Giordano, he's talking about scattering a bio-nano particulate, right? That he wants everybody to ingest, to scare them and make them run to the hospital, become the hypochondriacs. And this is really got me so aggravated that there's seriously no comments. That's wild. And I was going to repost this thing today and see if I could get it to go through, because the algorithms pick up the voice and the video, and I was going to try to alter that a little bit so it wouldn't be able to recognize what the video was. But it's literally like the way that COVID hit us, exactly the way that COVID hit us. And then he starts talking about this other stuff by spraying a population with blah, blah, blah. That's what they're doing with graphene. That nanoparticulate, you breathe it in, goes past the blood-brain barrier. He literally says it in the video. You've got to find the video. Look up Dr. James Giordano. And I'm getting off here because it says that there's only 16 people here. So, but anyway, that was just a quick thing that was on my mind. I remember doing a video on it a while ago. I found it to be the most interesting thing I've ever figured out on, for me, the way that I figured it out myself. Like, what is plasma? What is the Aurora Borealis? Like, really, that's it, man. It's the excitation of free radical electrons. Where do those free radical electrons come from? That's people's souls, people's spirits, people's bones and trees and whatever. It's the electrons that have been cooked out of something. But that's why there's the overabundance of them there now. They're jacking these things up, these towers. And I think it's going to get really a lot worse pretty soon. Yeah, still no fucking comments. I hate these assholes so much. Peace, guys.